Alrighty, we are going to spend a second day practicing our simplifying, combining like terms and distributing. We're going to go over a couple different types of problems. Make sure we've got this down. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about what to do when we have fractions. Remember, utilize your calculator. So I'm still going to treat this problem just like I would any other problem. And I'm going to get very first thing, I'm going to deal with the parentheses first. Because I can't combine anything that's inside the parentheses with anything that's outside of parentheses. So I'm going to multiply the 1/2 that's in front to both of the things on the inside. So I'm going to use my calculator. 1/2 times 6. Oops. 1/2 1/2 times 6. 1/2 times 6. That gives me an answer of 3. So here we go back to our problem. That gives me 3x minus, what is 1/2 times -10? 1/2 times -10. Is -5. So 3x and -5. Now the 4x is not inside the parentheses, so I'm not going to keep on multiplying. All I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that straight down after what I had. So after 5 minus 5, so plus 4x. And I'm going to, now that everything is outside of the parentheses, I'm going to break them apart into terms and combine my like ones. 3x is a like term to 4x. When I combine them, 3 plus 4 gives me 7, and they're x's, and there's nothing to combine with -5, so I bring that along for the ride. The very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to deal with the parentheses first. So what am I going to do? Well, here are my parentheses. What is in front of my parentheses? Remember to go all the way to the sign in front. So I'm going to go all the way to the -3/4. That is what is in front, and I'm going to distribute, also known as multiply, into those parentheses. Let's grab our calculator. -3/4 times 4. -3/4 times 4 gives me -3. So I come back here, -3x, because that 4 has an x on it, and then I multiply again, -3/4 times -12. Clear all. -3/4 times 12. Oops, times -12, pardon me. So -12. And I get 9. Okay, 9. Now that's a positive, so I'm going to make sure I write a plus sign in between. And I'm going to bring down my 5x. And I'm going to bring down the -12 that's after the parentheses. And then I'm going to move on to my next step. So my next step, let's choose a different color. Make that a little darker, so black. 5x minus 3x plus 9 minus 12. Now, I am going to break apart my terms. Remember, I'm going to make little snips, or I'm going to make little lines between each plus and minus. So 5x, snip, 3x, snip, 9, snip, 12, snip. And I'm going to look and see what's like terms with my first term. So 5x is a like term with -3, and I'm going to combine that. 5 plus -3. If I type that in my calculator, I'm going to get a 2. Those had an x on them, so 2x. And I'm going to continue. +9 and -12 are like terms because they don't have a variable. So 9 plus -12, and when I combine those, I get I get not a positive, I get -3. And that would be my simplified answer. So notice when I multiplied on these ones, sometimes I do get rid of those fractions and it turns out okay. So use your calculator. Hey, don't get discouraged by those fractions. All right, a decimal problem. So same thing with decimal problems. Don't get discouraged, use your calculator. So 5/2 distributed to both of those things on the inside. So 5.2 times -3 is -15.6. And that 3 had an x on it, so bring the x. 5.2 times 2 gives me 10.4, positive 10.4, plus 9.1. Okay, I'm going to, now that I have parentheses gone, I'm going to make my snips between each plus and minus. So snip, snip. Okay, -15.6x. Are there any terms that have an x with them? As I look at the rest of my list, they all are both missing any variable of any kind. So I'm going to bring down 15.6x on its own. Okay, as I look at 10.4, that has no variable. Same with 9.1, so I can combine those. 10.4 plus 9.1 gives me a grand total of 10.4 plus 9.1 gives me a total of 19.5 plus 19.5. And that would be my final answer. Remember, since it was a positive, I need to make sure that there's a plus sign in between. All right, finally, your turn. All right, finally, your turn. Go ahead, try this problem on your own. If you get stuck, remember that when there's a minus sign, there should be a 1 right there in front of the parentheses. So -1. Go ahead and pause the video and press play when you're ready to check your answer. All right, let's go ahead and multiply. So I'm going to get rid of parentheses. Always get rid of those first. So 3.2 times 5 is 16. So 16j. 3.2 times 4 is 12.8. And I am going to look at this next set of parentheses and say, okay, what's in front of that parentheses? Go all the way to the other ones, set of parentheses, and I get -1 that I'm going to distribute. -1 times +3 is -3j. -1 times +1 is -1. Let's go ahead and separate out our terms. 16j, separate. 12 plus 12.8, snip, plus -3, snip, -1. Combine my like terms. Is there anything that's a like term to positive 16j? Yep, -3j. I'm going to combine 12 plus -3. Those are j's. That gives me 9j. 12.8, -1, both don't have variables, so those are like terms. 12.8 minus 1 is 11.8. And remember to put a plus sign in between because it's positive, and that would be my final answer. All right, now it's time for you to try this on your own on your Canvas assignment. If you have any questions, please reach out.